The Orlando Magic are absolutely lowballing Paolo Banchero, and on the surface, it looks like another infuriating case of a small market team refusing to pay its homegrown superstar. Reports from September 29, 2025, from trusted league sources confirm that Banchero's agent says talks have stalled just weeks before the rookie extension deadline, creating a very public and very tense standoff. The common belief is that the Magic's ownership, the DeVos family, is simply being cheap, unwilling to shell out the nine-figure contract that a former Rookie of the Year and undisputed franchise cornerstone has earned. But the reality is far more complex and, frankly, far more terrifying for the future of the Magic. This isn't about ownership being stingy. It's about a series of poison pills buried deep within the 200 pages of the NBA's 2023 collective bargaining agreement. Rules so punitive, they could turn a max contract for Banchero into a 5-year death sentence for the entire franchise. We can prove it with one look at the league's official rulebook and the Magic's own salary cap sheet. So, what specific rule is holding this massive deal hostage? Why are its penalties so severe that the Magic would risk their entire relationship with Paolo Banchero to avoid them? And how does Orlando's very specific contract timeline for its other young stars turn this negotiation into a ticking time bomb? We pulled the CBA, we mapped the salary cap tables for the next 3 seasons, and we're going to show you the exact financial trap the Orlando Magic are desperately trying to avoid. A trap that could define the next decade of their franchise. This entire crisis comes down to a collision course of contracts, a perfect storm of financial obligations set to hit all at once. The NBA's deadline for rookie-scale extensions for the 2022 draft class, which includes Banchero, is 6 p.m. Eastern on the day before the 2025-26 regular season begins. For the Magic and Banchero, failing to agree to a deal means he would head towards restricted free agency in the summer of 2026, a situation no team ever wants with its star player, as it invites other teams to throw massive offer sheets at him. But the real problem is when Banchero's potential max extension would actually kick in, the 2026-27 season. That very same year, Franz Wagner's massive 5-year, $224 million extension, which was signed in the summer of 2024, will enter its second more expensive year, paying him a staggering $41.8 million. On top of that, Jalen Suggs' savvy 5-year, $150 million deal also begins in the 2025-26 season, meaning his salary will jump to nearly $32 million in that same 2026-27 season. With the projected 2026-27 salary cap of around $171 million, a standard max contract for Banchero, starting at 25% of the cap, would be about $42.75 million. Add that to Wagner's $41.8 million and Suggs' $32 million, and you have over $116.5 million, or a whopping 68% of the entire salary cap. This isn't a one-player problem. It's a 3-contract perfect storm aimed directly at the most punitive part of the NBA's new, unforgiving financial system. So what if they're expensive? Good teams pay the tax. That used to be the cost of doing business for a contender, but not anymore. Under the 2023 CBA, crossing what's known as the second apron, a spending level set about $17.5 million above the luxury tax line, isn't just a bigger tax bill. It is a roster-building nuke. The penalties are specifically designed to dismantle talented, expensive teams. First, you lose access to the taxpayer mid-level exception. This is the primary tool every contending team uses to sign quality veteran free agents, often the final piece of a championship puzzle. It's just gone. Second, you are banned from aggregating player salaries in a trade. This means you can't package a $15 million player and a $10 million player to trade for a $25 million star, a fundamental mechanism for roster improvement that is now off the table. Third, you can't send out cash in any trade, limiting your flexibility to grease the wheels of a deal. You're also barred from signing players on the buyout market if their original salary was more than the mid-level exception. But the real franchise killer, the one that keeps general managers up at night, is this. If a team remains above the second apron for 2 out of the following 4 seasons, their first-round draft pick 7 years into the future becomes frozen. It is automatically moved to the very end of the first round, and critically, it cannot be traded. For a team like Orlando that built their entire resurgence through the draft, that is an absolute death sentence. This is why the Magic front office is fighting over every last million in Banchero's deal. A full subsequent max contract doesn't just cost the owner more money, it functionally handcuffs the general manager for the next half-decade, taking away all the tools they need to build a winner around their stars. And if you think this is all just a hypothetical, worst-case scenario nightmare, we just watched a modern championship dynasty crumble under the weight of this exact problem. Look at the Golden State Warriors. On October 14, 2022, they gave shooting guard Jordan Poole a 4-year, $128 million extension. At the time, under the old, more forgiving CBA rules, it seemed like a manageable, albeit expensive, commitment. But once the new CBA was ratified in 2023, that contract became a financial anchor they couldn't escape. With the second apron looming, the Warriors were forced into an impossible choice. They simply could not afford to keep Poole alongside the massive contracts of Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. The math no longer worked. So on July 6, 2023, they were forced to salary dump Poole to the Washington Wizards, simply taking back Chris Paul's expiring contract because it was shorter and offered them future relief. They chose their legacy players over the new blood because the new math made it impossible to keep both and remain a flexible, contending team. The Orlando Magic front office is looking at the ghost of the Warriors dynasty and seeing their own future. Paolo Banchero is an all-star talent, a former Rookie of the Year, and the face of the franchise. But the front office has to ask the hard, unsentimental question. Is he the type of transcendent, top 7 player in the league for whom you willingly cripple your entire franchise? That's the billion-dollar question that is stalling these talks in Orlando. This brings us to the agent's carefully worded statement on September 29th. When an agent tells a major reporter like Adrian Wojnarowski that contract talks have stalled, it's really a simple status update. It is a calculated leverage play, a piece of public relations warfare. The rookie extension deadline creates a powerful sense of urgency. By making the stalemate public knowledge, Banchero's camp is applying immense pressure on the Magic's front office and ownership. They are trying to win the PR battle, painting the Magic as a cheap, ungrateful organization that is disrespecting the very player who turned their franchise around. The agent knows that fans, who see the game through the lens of loyalty and performance, will rally behind the star player, not the complexities of second apron tax calculations. This public pressure is designed to force General Manager Anthony Parker and President of Basketball Operations Jeff Weltman to either cave and offer the full max, risking future financial ruin, or hold firm and be painted as the villains who might eventually drive their beloved star out of town. It's a classic power move, using the media and fan sentiment to force the team's hand before the clock runs out. Complicating this entire situation is the Orlando Magic's own organizational DNA and, frankly, its history of trauma. Historically, Orlando has not been a luxury tax team. They operate with the financial prudence of a small market franchise because that's what they are. Their last significant foray into the tax was over a decade ago, during the final, tumultuous years of the Dwight Howard era. Since then, they have prioritized financial flexibility, asset accumulation, and building methodically through the draft. This institutional philosophy is now clashing directly with the financial realities of building around a core of high draft picks who all pan out at the same time.
the front office is being forced to choose between abandoning their long-held conservative financial strategy or potentially alienating the young core they so carefully assembled. The fight over Banchero's max deal isn't just a negotiation, it's an identity crisis for the entire franchise. And let's not forget, this is a fan base that has already lost two superstar big men in painful, drawn-out public divorces with Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard. The fear of history repeating itself a third time adds a layer of desperation and anxiety to this entire ordeal. And as if that weren't enough, there's one more terrifying wrinkle that makes this even more dangerous for the Magic. It's a specific clause in the CBA called the Designated Rookie Player Extension, often referred to in the media as the Supermax. If Paolo Banchero achieves a high-level league honor, specifically if he makes an All-NBA team, first, second, or third, is named NBA